Carlton Fisk waved that baseball fair in 1975. The whole world watched him jump down the first base line. His arms moved like he could control the ball with his mind. That moment made him a legend. But somehow this Hall of Fame catcher spent his final years getting kicked out of clubhouses and cut from teams. How did one of baseball's greatest players end up so hated by the people who should have loved him most? Carlton Fisk was born in Vermont on December 26, 1947. His father, Cecil, believed in one thing above all else. Kids should give their absolute best in everything they do. No excuses, no shortcuts, no lazy efforts. This wasn't just advice in the Fisk house. It was law. Young Carlton played baseball, basketball, and soccer. He dominated every sport he touched, but his parents never cheered from the stands. They never criticized coaches either. They just watched in complete silence. This taught Carlton to rely only on himself. He learned that respect came through performance, not popularity. The boy's competitive fire burned so hot it sometimes exploded. During one practice, Carlton punched a teammate for goofing off. He was just a kid, but he already demanded perfection from everyone around him. His teammates learned quickly. When Carlton Fisk was on the field, you played hard or you got hurt. This intensity followed him to the major leagues. In 1972, Carlton won American League Rookie of the Year unanimously. At 24 years old, he was already leading the Red Sox in home runs and batting average. The future looked perfect, but Carlton's perfectionist nature created enemies everywhere he went. In 1972, he publicly criticized two of his own teammates. Carl Yastrzemski and Reggie Smith were Red Sox legends. Carlton didn't care. He told reporters they weren't hustling hard enough. He said their lack of effort was making the whole team weak. The quote appeared in the Springfield Union newspaper. Carlton later claimed he was misunderstood, but the damage was done. His own teammates now resented him. Manager Eddie Casco had to hold team meetings to calm everyone down. Even when the controversy died down, the hurt feelings remained. This wasn't just a one-time mistake. Carlton had created what people called the Fisk Code of Baseball Ethics. Everyone had to play the game his way. Full effort, maximum hustle, complete respect for the sport. If you broke his code, he would come for you. The most famous example happened in 1990. Carlton was 43 years old and playing for the Chicago White Sox. The opposing team had a young player named Deion Sanders. Sanders hit a pop-up and barely jogged to first base. Carlton walked over to him and said 5 words that became legendary. "Next time, run it out." Sanders was a superstar athlete playing both baseball and football. Most catchers would never dare lecture him, but Carlton didn't care about reputations. He only cared about effort. The conflicts weren't limited to lazy players. Carlton's biggest feuds involved stars who matched his intensity. Thurman Munson was the Yankees catcher. He was Carlton's equal in every way. Both men were tough, talented, and absolutely refused to back down. Their rivalry exploded on August 3, 1973 at Fenway Park. The game was tied in the 9th inning. Munson tried to score on a missed bunt. As he barreled toward home plate, Carlton elbowed another player out of the way and braced for impact. The collision triggered a massive brawl that lasted 10 minutes. Both benches emptied. Both catchers got ejected. The media had helped create this feud. Announcer Curt Gowdy constantly praised Carlton as the next great catcher. This made Munson feel disrespected. The press was basically saying Carlton was better before he had even proven himself. After the 1973 fight, everything became personal. Their mutual hatred became a symbol of the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry. Carlton's aggression created another famous incident in 1976. Lou Piniella of the Yankees tried to score by running through Carlton at home plate. The collision started another huge fight, but this time, someone got seriously hurt. Red Sox pitcher Bill Lee injured his shoulder while fighting Yankees third baseman Greg Nettles. Lee missed most of the 1976 season. He never regained full velocity on his fastball. His career was essentially ruined because of Carlton's unwillingness to step aside. Despite punching Piniella in the face, Carlton wasn't even ejected from the game. The umpires seemed to understand that catchers had to defend their territory, but Carlton's teammates paid the price for his wars. The most frustrating controversy happened during the 1975 World Series. Game 3 was tied in the 10th inning. Cincinnati's Ed Armbruster laid down a sacrifice bunt. As Carlton tried to field the ball and throw to second base, Armbruster stayed near home plate. Carlton had to jump into him to make the throw. The ball sailed into center field. The Reds scored the winning run. Carlton and manager Darrell Johnson screamed for an interference call. Home plate umpire Larry Barnett refused to change his decision. The Red Sox lost the game and eventually the World Series. These conflicts followed a pattern. Carlton always believed he was defending baseball's integrity. He never started fights for selfish reasons. He fought for effort, respect, and proper play. But his methods made him countless enemies. The pattern eventually destroyed his relationships with management. Despite his Hall of Fame career, both of his teams got rid of him in cruel ways. The Red Sox cut him loose after the 1980 season through a paperwork error. They were trying to avoid salary arbitration. They mailed his contract renewal one day late. This technicality made Carlton a free agent. General manager Haywood Sullivan claimed it was an honest mistake. Carlton had given Boston 11 years of his life. He was reportedly part of a group pushing for better player salaries. Sullivan didn't like dealing with demanding players. The late contract might not have been an accident. Carlton signed with the Chicago White Sox for 7 years and $2.9 million. In his very first game back at Fenway Park, he hit a 3-run homer off Bob Stanley. The Red Sox were leading in the 8th inning. Carlton's blast gave Chicago a 5-3 victory. It was perfect revenge for his bitter departure. Carlton played 13 seasons with the White Sox. He broke numerous catching records. On June 22, 1993, he passed Bob Boone for most career games caught. 6 days later, the White Sox released him. Carlton was 45 years old and still playing every day. The team called him in his hotel room during a road trip. They told him to pack his equipment and fly back to Chicago alone. After breaking a major league record, he was dumped like garbage. The disrespect continued even after his playing career ended. Carlton tried to visit his former White Sox teammates in the clubhouse. Security guards threw him out. He just wanted to wish them luck in the playoffs. Instead, he was treated like a criminal. But Carlton's legacy survived these bitter endings. He was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Only 19 catchers in history have received this honor. Among Hall of Fame catchers, Carlton holds records for most hits and most runs scored. His uniform number was retired by both the Red Sox and White Sox. Only 10 players in baseball history have been honored by multiple teams this way. When Carlton entered the Hall of Fame, he chose to wear a Red Sox cap on his plaque. He had played more games for Chicago, but his heart belonged to Boston. His most famous moment was that 1975 World Series home run. The ball barely stayed fair down the left field line. Carlton's reaction changed how baseball was televised forever. Before that game, camera operators followed the ball's flight. NBC cameraman Lou Gerard got distracted by a rat and kept filming Carlton instead. The image of Carlton waving the ball fair became one of sport's most iconic moments. It showed that player emotions could be more important than the action itself. Every baseball broadcast since then has followed Gerard's accidental discovery. Carlton caught 2,126 games in his career. He hit 351 home runs as a catcher. He played 24 seasons total. His durability was remarkable considering how many violent collisions he endured. In 1974, he tore multiple knee ligaments but made a complete recovery and returned in 1975. Carlton's conflicts weren't signs of a wasted career. They were proof of his unwavering standards. Carlton never accepted mediocrity from himself or anyone else. He demanded that baseball be played with maximum effort and respect. The game lost something when Carlton retired. Modern players are more careful with their words. They avoid unnecessary confrontations. This might be smarter, but it's also less authentic. Carlton Fisk represented an era when players cared more about winning than being liked. His intensity created enemies, but it also created legends. That 1975 home run happened because Carlton refused to accept defeat. That image of Carlton waving his arms in 1975 captures everything about his career. He was fighting gravity, fighting fate, fighting anyone who stood between him and victory. The ball stayed fair because Carlton willed it to happen. Carlton Fisk didn't waste his career. He spent every moment of it demanding excellence from a sport that rarely provides it. His conflicts were the price of greatness. His legacy is the reward for never backing down.